Actually, it took me 2 years, like speaking of this TED Talk experience, it took me 2 years to do the personal development work, to have the
Wow.
courage to actually deliver it. That's how, I had to attend a public speaking boot camp to kind of be brave enough or courageous enough to ask questions in a case conference, let alone a TED Talk was like, scary. But I've always wanted to do one. And I think it's to just be courageous and do what it takes and listen to your heart.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Be an Awesome GP. Today, I am absolutely stoked to be sitting down with Dr. Olivia Ong, or the Heart-Centered Doctor. Dr. Olivia Ong is a remarkable medical mum and a passionate medical entrepreneur dedicated to delivering healthcare coaching. With a heart-centered and soul-driven approach, Olivia supports fellow healthcare professionals in achieving a more balanced life, enabling them to both thrive at work and home without experiencing burnout. Olivia's life took a significant turn when at the age of 28, she was involved in a life-altering accident that left her paralyzed. Despite this immense challenge, Olivia found strength and resilience through her recovery journey. She has succeeded in overcoming her own obstacles. She has pursued a career with unwavering determination, now a dual-trained rehabilitation medicine and specialist pain medicine physician, all while embracing the joys of starting a family. Olivia, welcome to the show. There is so much we can talk about.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
So, do you want to give us your 1 minute spiel about who you are, where you're coming from, and we'll just go from there?
Yeah, so I'm Olivia, the Heart-Centered Doctor. That's kind of like my personal brand name, and that I've set up a thought leadership business over the last couple of years. Initially, I just wanted to be an author. I just wanted to be like Jack Canfield, write many books. But, coaching found me, then I became a coach, then I became a speaker. And I think as a as thought leaders, that's the way we kind of get our intellectual property or IP out to the world, is through these forms. For me, obviously, my preferred form of showcasing my content is through writing. I'm more of a writer at heart. But speaking is something now I've started to enjoy because I can see the impact that it has made on many, many colleagues of mine who are going through burnout. And last but not least, I'm a mom of two. I've got 8-year-old son, Joe, and a 3-year-old daughter, Jackie. So life is a bit busy. I'm still practicing as a pain physician. Quite a number of people have always asked me whether I still work as a pain physician. The answer is yes. I do. I love it. Yeah.
Good. And look, I'm a expecting dad. I've got a kid coming in January. So after we interview today, I'll be doing, thank you, some nursery setup. I wanted to just touch on, you mentioned writing books there. And I think the Heart-Centered Doctor is on its 2nd edition now. Mm-hmm. And thought leaders, industry leaders these days, it is kind of a blended model. It used to be you could just write a book or you could just have a series of talks, but now people want content in all formats. And mm-hmm. Tell me about getting a book out. Tell me about where that came from. Was it easy? Was it hard? Did you use professional services?
Yeah, so the book idea kind of came up when I attended a speaker boot camp because during the pandemic in 2020, I had quite a lot of time to myself for my personal growth because I didn't have to travel for work. I was doing a lot of telehealth for pain medicine, and I was heavily pregnant as well at that time. So my workplaces didn't allow me to be deployed, I guess, for my safety. So I kind of attended multiple courses to kind of update my skills, and public speaking was definitely one of them. I was one of those people that really dreaded public speaking, to be honest. Even asking my colleagues a question in a case conference will freak me out. Surprisingly, that was me back then in 2020.
I cannot believe that.
Yeah, I used to be that person. And then when I attended this particular speaker boot camp, a book idea came up. I've always wanted to write a book, but I kind of squashed that idea because life got really busy. And during that time in the pandemic, there was something within me that kind of really was a deep calling. I saw a lot of my colleagues go through burnout, and they were suffering inside, and they didn't have a choice. I mean, if patients turn up in ED with COVID, you had to attend, and same in ICU, GPs as well. Many of my colleagues were very burnt out. My brother's also a doctor, and he was very burnt out. He was deployed to the front line. So I wrote this book mainly as a need, like I just wanted to help my peers through burnout, and writing was my way to express that, I guess, love for my peers, because there was no other way I could do it. I didn't like speaking at that time, and I could write. So I decided that's how the book idea came up, and I just wanted to help people out. And I think one of the stories that really touched my heart or broke my heart even was about a ER physician in the US. Her name is Dr. Lorna Breen. She was kind of running the ER during the first wave of the pandemic. At that time, you remember March 2020, New York State was pretty bad hit, first wave of COVID. She developed burnout and then developed depression and then committed suicide. She jumped off the roof of the building where she worked. That's how she lost her life. And that really broke my heart. And that was, I think, the main catalyst in me wanting to write the book. And in all the questions, I was like, how on earth do I even start writing a book? So I got a book coach, because I know that, there are book coaches out there who can kind of direct me through writing a book. So that's what I did. I got a book coach to just help me get my ideas out of my head into paper. And then she has a publisher that could help me publish my book. So it kind of happened that way. So that's how I published the Heart Center Doctor. It took me about 4 to 6 months to kind of, write the book or the manuscript. And then it took about a few weeks to publish. Publishing is actually quite quick. It's more the editing, the manuscript, and back and throw, and all that stuff takes the longest. I think even putting pen, I started typing, starting typing your first few words, that's kind of probably the longest. Procrastination was my biggest challenge at that time. Even though I had a deep desire to write, there's always stuff happening, like kids and everything, and work and all that. The usual excuses we give, we give ourselves sometimes. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I think for me, when I was deep in the pandemic, my response was also to go for writing, and it was more a creative outlet to avoid burnout rather than delivering a mission. That mission came later, and it's part of why I do the podcast and my own books now. But I think you have so much to offer for people who do want to have their own mission, and they want to go out and improve the quality of care for our colleagues, or to assist our colleagues who are suffering burnout. And the stats are terrifying on the GP workforce about how many are thinking of leaving and the rates of burnout. I know it's a massive and complex problem, but if you had to offer advice as to how we start to address burnout and the systemic problems, where would you go?
I think it starts with awareness in the workplace. Sadly, I've lost a colleague to suicide in the hospital where I worked in. And I think that kind of opened the doors to having conversations about actually looking out for each other and making it really intentional to do that, and not, sometimes we ask each other, how are you going? And we just go, I'm fine. But you want to take
the dream.
Yeah, and then you want to take the extra step and goes, are you really okay? That's the question. That's where you just want to. Yeah, it kind of made me realize that we need to really look out for each other a lot more. And starts in the workplace, having conversations. I mean, great. A lot of hospitals do all these well-being workshops, and we have EAP, but it's just a tick box, really. I feel it didn't really solve the problem of physician suicides and burnout. It didn't. I think
it is still a problem, and we're still looking for solutions.
Exactly, and I think it's coaching can help someone through a near burnout experience. So there's two different doctors can fall under two camps: the burning out camp and the burnt out camp. I mean, the burnt out camp probably is pretty serious. They have already developed all the mental health consequences of burnout. They're not looking after their health anymore. I guess they need to see their GP first. So someone like yourself, Chris, they need to see someone like you, and then get the professional help they need, like through a psychologist or therapist or anything like that. But I guess, most of the people I'm helping right now are the burning out people in the burning out camp, where maybe this is where I can kind of touch a little bit about my own framework about burnout. I see burnout as like energy. We all have energy bank accounts, like unfortunately the economy is not great, I guess, and inflation's on the rise. Bank accounts, it triggers some of us, I'm afraid. But I see I see burnout in terms of three energy bank accounts. First is physical, and emotional, and then spiritual, and I'll touch a little bit about each. So physical energy account is, when we make deposits to this particular account, which means that we are sleeping well, we're drinking water. I know I've been guilty of the drinking water bit, and eating well. That's when we make a deposit to our physical energy account. Bing, and then we feel kind of energized. And then the next energy account is emotional energy account. So when we kind of have maintain a relationship with our family and friends outside work, or even within work, my work colleagues, that's kind of putting deposits in your emotional energy account. So you can imagine someone who does not have enough emotional deposits to this bank account, the emotional bank account. They'll start to disconnect from themselves, from others. And you see this in some of your colleagues who are quite cynical, sarcastic. They start to complain about the healthcare system, the patients, the everything, the works. That is when their emotional bank account is kind of low or reaching negative. They kind of, I guess, behave that way. And I guess the last energy account is the spiritual energy bank account. It's when they start to lose their life purpose. This is when doctors come to me for coaching, because they wake up every morning and go, I don't know what to do with my life anymore. And that's actually causing a lot of suffering for doctors, because we are mission driven, right? People.
Oh yeah.
We turn up to work. We care for our patients. We do the thing. But these people, people who have lost their life, doctors who have lost their life purpose will wake up going, what's the use? What's the point of me doing all this? I don't know what to do in my life. And ways to fill up your spiritual bank account, deposits that you can do, will be like, for some people, it's hiking in Mount Gambier. I don't know whether you can hike in Mount Gambier. I've never been to Mount Gambier, but you could hike. Mount Macedon. I remember I did that when I was 20. Mount Macedon? Yeah, no. I haven't hiked for a very long time, you could tell. Volunteering in soup kitchens, animal shelters, going, attending a church service, or anything that just lights you up spiritually. It could be prayer if you're, a religious person. And spiritual energy account, you don't have to be a super religious person to get it filled up. You can get it filled up in any form. And I feel that when a patient thanks us, which unfortunately doesn't happen very much in pain medicine, when the patient thanks you, it kind of fills up all the three energy bank accounts. Bing, 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 physical, and emotional and spiritual. And you're like, can you just repeat that again? So I had a patient who actually thanked me last week, and I had to ask her to repeat it again. And I was like,
I really like that, actually.
Yeah, it just fills you up straight away. Boom, 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 all three accounts.
I don't know if you do it. I've seen doctors who keep, sometimes when they get cards or thank you notes from people, they have a drawer they keep that in, and when they're at a low point, they open that drawer and they just notice they have a look.
Exactly, it fills that particular doctor's all energy accounts. I mean, that's a really special thing that they can do. If the patient who thanks them gives them a card, like what you said, just keep looking at it when times are hard, when you've got difficult patients and you feel a bit down. Just look up those cards, I think. Yeah.
And I don't know if patients know how much a difference that makes, or how much they might have impacted a doctor by saying thanks. Because they might assume it's routine, but it is quite powerful when it happens.
Yeah. Very powerful. But yes,
you top up your physical, emotional, and spiritual bank accounts. That's a good system to have. I usually tell my patients who are a bit burnt out or are on the cusp, and I do see some doctors, I'm quite happy to treat doctors, that they should have a burnout plan, but they should also have a burnout prevention plan, same as you have a bushfire prevention plan. And it is way easier for someone to come back from pre-burnout than burnout.
Exactly.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to be the next Olivia Ong? So what advice would you give to someone who would like to be in the space you're doing, would like to be giving TED Talks or writing books? What would you tell them?
I will tell them, as cliche as it sounds, just listen to your heart, really. Like, the TED Talk was actually, it took me 2 years. Like, speaking of this TED Talk experience, it took me 2 years to do the personal development work, to have the courage to actually deliver it. That's how, I had to attend a public speaking boot camp to kind of be brave enough or courageous enough to ask questions in a case conference, let alone a TED Talk was like, that's scary. But I've always wanted to do one. And I think it's to just be courageous and do what it takes and listen to your heart. When you listen to your heart, it will guide you to that path. You'll find coaches and teachers will appear at the right time. Like my TEDx coach appeared at the right time, right place, that kind of thing. I had a coach for my TEDx experience. So yeah, people, your teachers, mentors, coaches, friends, family will just, be there to support you. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think of the principle in medicine of done is better than perfect? Because this is something a lot of us struggle with, is doing something perfectly versus doing it well and getting it done.
This is a life lesson that I had to learn it for myself, because I was one of those people, I guess, who was like a perfectionist. I mean, I grew up in Singapore where perfectionism is the norm. And all of us, A is not good enough. A plus is where we need to be. I grew up in that kind of environment, and all my peers were all like that. And I carried that kind of mindset, I guess, or perfectionist trait all the way to med school and, junior doctor days, until the injury taught me that you don't have to be perfect to accept yourself, because I had to accept myself the way I was in a wheelchair. I had to, my image of myself changed. And yeah, that was an interesting experience. And in learning to walk again, I had to realize that even if I just move my toe today, that's good enough for me. So I guess my spinal cord injury taught me that perfectionism will not help. Rather, be happy with each small win you have. And that's probably the same principle, done is better than perfect. And same in entrepreneurship as well. Even if you do something, a small task today, you don't have to do many, like 10 million things, but small tasks, small wins, celebrate it every single day. That is, I probably, done is definitely better than perfect. So I think taking any action is better than taking no action.
So I think entrepreneurship is a hard game. The amount
it is very hard.
The amount that aren't there 5 years down the track, the number of small businesses that fail, the number of things, even you see on Shark Tank, how many bad ideas there are out there.
Yes, I have watched Shark Tank. I love it though. But yeah, some pitches were really bad. Yes.
I think there's a lot you can offer people in terms of coaching, but also as a model for how to build a brand and how to build yourself as a thought leader. If people do want to find your content, where is the best place to find it or see it?
Yeah. So I have a website, drolivialeeong.com. That's the best way to kind of like consume my content, perhaps, or my thought leadership content. It's all on there. My VA has kindly been updating that page every week. God bless him. He's a tech VA, and I need someone like him because I'm not very good with tech, I'm afraid. And I guess people can also reach out to me on social media. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. On Instagram, I think I'm known as my personal name, and Facebook, also my personal name, and I have a business page too. And LinkedIn, Dr. Olivia Ong. So 3 ways you can reach me, or emailing me through the website. It's also another way people can reach out to me. Yeah.
And are there any projects you want to plug or anything that's coming on your horizon you wanted to mention?
Well, I'm launching a group program sometime in February next year. It's a group program about helping doctors find their life purpose. I felt really touched. I lost one of my colleagues to suicide a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, I created this program with her in mind. Like, sorry, I'm getting quite emotional. Like,
it's okay.
Yeah, I wish that she, like, there's a lot of guilt that comes because she works in the same hospital as I am. This is the work I do, but this program is created in her legacy. It's helping doctors find their life purpose, and I wish that if Trudy had found her life purpose, she wouldn't have done what she wouldn't have committed suicide and all that. And this program was designed with her in mind to help other doctors who are kind of almost on that verge of feeling defeated, hopeless, and helpless, and not knowing where their life purpose is. This program is to help them get clarity in that, and to give them some hope. And you don't have to quit medicine. You can still love it very much. You just have to design it in a different way according to your own terms and not the hospital or the clinic or whatever, on your own terms. That's the group program I'll be launching next year, sometime in February. So, in fact, it's actually more specific. It's Monday, February the 5th. I was just working through my launch plan this morning, and that will be when the program starts. So, it's to help doctors find their purpose and passion again. Yeah.
Well, I think that sounds like a well-needed program. Obviously, if anyone's struggling in the interim and needs something beyond coaching, such as mental health support, the Doctors for Doctors hotline is available, and the AMA does have a list of doctors who are happy to treat doctors. I could dig into so much more with you, Olivia, but I will wrap it up there. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on the show, and you have a marvelous day. I look forward to this group program and what it can offer.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Thanks, Chris.
Be an Awesome GP is targeted at general practitioners in the Australian context. It should not be taken as formal medical advice, and you should consult your own clinician for any medical matters. Opinions are those of the presenter or guests and do not necessarily represent any organisations.